Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Leader Learning Moment on leave of absences and paid disability. My name is Destiny Castle. I'm our HR coordinator responsible for leaves. If you have any questions after watching this video, please feel free to reach out to me. Let's get started. So on our agenda today, we will talk about the types of leave, including Family Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, personal leave of absences, or PLOA, military leave. Then we'll move on to paid disability coverage and applications and returning from leave. So a leave of absence is defined as an extended absence away from work without pay that is taken due to an associate's extenuating circumstances. So Benchmark's leave of absence policy is if an associate is going to be out of work for more than 5 unpaid days, they must apply for a leave. So that keyword there is unpaid. If the associate is using their PTO to go on vacation, that is totally fine. That does not require a leave of absence. It only requires a leave of absence if it is unpaid and more than 5 days. So why is taking official leave important? First is for the associate's peace of mind. So the associate won't need to worry about being present at work or accidentally being scheduled. If an associate is eligible for short-term disability, they also may need to be on an official leave in order to apply for that short-term disability. The next reason is obligation. So in some certain cases, official leave is legally required. So it's very important that we put them on an official leave in our workday system. So the last reason why taking an official leave is important is for the associate's average hours. So each quarter we will look at the associate's average weekly hours in the past quarter to determine work status or full-time versus part-time. And weeks affected by official leaves will not be taken into consideration when we look at this average. So if an associate is on an unofficial leave or taking some time off without PTO that we are not aware of here in HR, weeks with very little or no hours are going to affect these average hours. There are a couple of different types of leave. First, there is the Family Medical Leave Act, or FMLA. This can be taken in an extended absence or intermittently. There's personal leave of absence, or PLOA. This can be taken for personal reasons or medical reasons if the associate is not eligible for FMLA. And then finally, military leave of absence. So first, we will start with discussing Family Medical Leave Act, or FMLA. The Family Medical Leave Act of 1993 requires certain employers to allow eligible associates to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave for certain family and medical events. So this time off will not be paid, however, it will be job-protected, so the associate will be required to return to the same or equal position that they left. Because Benchmark employs over 50 people, we are required by law to offer FMLA. FMLA is designed to protect the associate from a couple of things. First being losing group health benefits during their leave, being demoted or transferred during their leave, being retaliated against or terminated for taking leave, or being denied the leave that they require. So who is eligible for FMLA? So for an associate to be eligible for FMLA, they do have to meet 3 criteria. The first is that they are employed by Benchmark for at least 12 months. They have worked at least 1,250 hours during the 12 months immediately preceding the leave or full-time status. And they are experiencing an FMLA qualifying event. Now, there are a couple of things that can qualify someone for FMLA. The FMLA qualifying events are bonding with a child, healing from your own serious medical condition, and caring for your immediate family member with a serious medical condition. First is bonding with a child. So this focuses on the need of the associate to spend time with a newborn or newly placed child. The placement of a child does include adoption or fostering a child, and the health of the child is not a factor in this leave. Both parents are entitled to FMLA leave for the birth or placement of the child, so it doesn't have to be just mom or just dad. Both parents are entitled to this leave. And there are certain restrictions if the parents do work together. So if this is a situation that you come into contact with, please let us know so that we're able to move forward as best as we can. The next qualifying event is the associate's serious medical condition. This is used in situations where an associate is unable to continue working during their own serious medical condition. A medical condition can be defined as inpatient care or continuing treatment by a healthcare provider if the associate is unable to work. In these cases, we would require a doctor's certificate, and a couple of examples could include pregnancy, critical illness treatment, surgery recovery, inpatient mental health treatment, or a workers' comp injury, etc. And finally, the last qualifying event for FMLA is caring for an immediate family member. So this allows the associate time to care for this family member with a serious medical condition. And during these cases, we would also require a doctor's certification from the immediate family member's doctor. So who is considered an immediate family member? An immediate family member can be a couple of different people: your spouse, your child, or your parent. Your spouse is defined as someone you are legally married to under state or common law. Your child does have to be under the age of 18 or have a physical or mental disability. This can be a biological child, stepchild, adopted, or foster child, or a person standing in locus parentis, which just means having day-to-day responsibility and care for that child. And lastly, a parent is going to be defined as a biological parent or an individual who stood in locus parentis to an associate when they were a child. So this does not include parents-in-law. FMLA can also be used intermittently, so allowing associates to work in separate blocks of time or on a reduced schedule by working fewer hours in a day or week. Associates may be granted up to the equivalent of 12 weeks or 480 hours of unpaid leave time. And they can take this for their own serious health condition or an immediate family member's health condition. For intermittent FMLA cases, HR will track the number of hours the associate has used with the help of the leader. So some associates may use intermittent FMLA to shorten their workdays or take a day off that they had previously been scheduled if necessary. This can be planned or unplanned time off, and these absences will never be subject to any attendance points. So a couple of examples for intermittent FMLA are migraine headaches. So if the associate has a migraine headache, they may call off of a shift or leave early from a shift due to the onset of this migraine. Or if an associate's husband has cancer, the associate can schedule with her leader that she will not come in on certain days that her husband has chemotherapy treatment. So again, these can be scheduled or unscheduled, so they can call off, they can shorten a shift, or schedule days off. Due to the unique nature of intermittent leave, HR will typically meet with the managers and the associate to review the process for tracking hours and just ensure that everyone is on the same page with how to use their intermittent FMLA. So using PTO while you are on FMLA, the associate will be required to use all of their available PTO during their leave. There are a few ways that they can do so. They can use all available PTO at the very beginning of their leave, or they're able to strategically spread out their PTO days on the calendar in order to pay for their medical benefits during their leave. We do have a worksheet here in HR to help associates understand how they're able to enter their PTO in this way to best pay for their benefits. So if anyone has any questions on that, please visit HR. Okay, and we will move on to personal leave of absences, or PLOA. An associate can take a personal leave of absence for two different reasons, either a personal reason, such as going out of the country for a long period of time, caring for a non-immediate family member, such as a child over the age of 18, or a cousin, or an aunt, or for medical reasons when the associate is not eligible for FMLA. So an associate has not been here for a year, needs surgery, or they have a workers' comp injury, etc. So who's eligible for a personal leave of absence? That would be full-time associates. So unless an LOA is needed due to workers' compensation injury, only full-time associates will be eligible for a leave of absence. and not currently in their 90-day orientation period. So they have to have been with us for at least 90 days. Personal leave of absences must be approved by the department manager and the LC member. The personal leave of absence is not job protected and allows for up to 30 days of leave. If the personal leave of absence is medical, we may require a doctor's note. So how to use PTO on your personal leave. Associates will be required to use their PTO before they go on a personal leave, and the personal leave will begin after all available PTO is exhausted. Once we move on to military leave, if the associate is on a military leave, they will not be required to use their PTO. Okay, now let's chat about military leave of absences. So military leave and USERRA, there are 3 different types of military-related leave. First is qualifying exigency leave. This is used when an associate's immediate family member is called to or is on active deployment. There's military caregiver leave, which is used to care for current service members or a recent veteran who has suffered a serious illness or injury when the associate is the service member's next of kin. So the associate does not need to be the service member's immediate family. They do just need to be next of kin. And this kind of a leave does allow the associate to be out of work for 26 weeks. And then lastly, we have USERRA, the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, and this is used when an associate is deployed or in active training. So on to paid disability coverage. If the associate has elected short-term or long-term disability coverage during their last open enrollment or new hire benefit event and is taking their leave due to their own personal health condition, they may be able to file a claim through our disability provider, Unum. If the associate claim is approved, they will receive 60% of their weekly income after a waiting period. That short-term disability waiting period is going to be 7 days, and then they will be eligible for up to 26 weeks of coverage. And then long-term disability will have a 180-day waiting period, so hopefully during that time the associate does have short-term disability to supplement their income during that time. But after that 180 days, they will be covered up until normal Social Security retirement age. Okay, now we will talk about applications and returning from leave. So if you believe that an associate on your team is experiencing an FMLA qualifying event or requires a leave of absence, please have them come to HR to discuss their options. This can look like having a baby, having a serious medical condition, taking care of a family member with a serious medical condition, or just planning to be gone for more than 5 unpaid days. Please have your associates come chat with us. We will keep everything of this nature very confidential, including with their leaders. So if they're having a baby and they don't feel comfortable telling their team yet, we will definitely keep that information private, but we do just want to make sure that we're having that conversation with the employee to discuss next steps. So this is what the application process for FMLA is going to look like. The associate will discuss leave options with HR and receive the application and doctor certificate if needed. The associate will then turn in the application documents to HR, and HR will notify the managers when the application was submitted. If approved, the associate will be notified by HR, and if declined, we may ask the associate to come to HR to discuss alternative leave options. Whether they are approved or declined, we will notify the manager of the application outcome and the leave dates if the associate was approved. The application process for a personal leave of absence will begin with the associate discussing their leave with HR and receiving an application. The associate will then turn the application into their manager, and the manager and LC member will make approval decisions and return the application to HR. HR will issue a final decision, and if approved, we will communicate with the associate. If the employee has been declined, the manager will communicate with the associate, and HR will notify the manager of the application outcome and the leave dates if the associate was approved. Some things to keep in mind for all leaves is that associates on any type of leave of absence will not be eligible for holiday pay. This is handled automatically in Workday, so there is no need to email accounting or make sure that holiday pay is not going through. As long as the associate is entered on a leave in our system, they will not receive holiday pay. Another thing to consider is health benefits. So when an associate is on any leave of absence, they will keep their normal health benefits. They will still be required to pay their portion of insurance premiums. And our best practice is if their leave is less than 6 weeks, they may pay their premiums when they return, with a payment plan coming directly from their paychecks. However, if their leave is going to be more than 6 weeks, they will be required to pay their premiums by check on a weekly basis or work out a plan with HR to spread their PTO out to pay for these benefits premiums. And if an associate does go more than 30 days delinquent on their premiums, they may lose their health benefits. So if the associate does need an extension for their leave for any reason, they should contact Human Resources. If the associate was on FMLA, HR will review the extension, and if approved, will notify managers. If the associate was on a PLOA, manager's approval will be required to extend the leave, but we will still be very involved in that process and helping you along the way. Associates are going to communicate with their manager regarding their schedule when they return, and upon their return, managers should let HR know so that we're able to reactivate their time clocks. And now we will recap everything we've talked about and the responsibilities of each party. So the associate's responsibility is to inform their leader of their need for an LOA. If an associate does have a sensitive issue, they may work directly with HR. That is totally okay with us. It is also their responsibility to apply for the appropriate LOA with the help of HR and provide any doctor certificates or notes if required. They're responsible for their benefit deductions while on leave, and they will discuss the return with their leader and return on the date that their leave is scheduled to end, providing any doctor's notes or return to work notes to HR if necessary. The leader's responsibility is to alert Human Resources to any associate they may have an FMLA eligible event or has requested leave information. So this is required by law, that obligation piece that I was discussing at the very beginning. If an associate does have an FMLA eligible event, we are required to offer them leave information. So please just make sure that you're alerting Human Resources anytime you see this happening. You will update your schedule to reflect leave dates that Human Resources will send via email. It'll be your responsibility to ensure PTO is being used appropriately while the associate is on leave. And you will be communicating with the associate as the return date approaches to ensure that you're on the same page about their first shift back. Now we'll move on to some review questions. So we'll start with Jane. Jane is a full-time associate who has been with Benchmark for 10 months, and she has just told you, her manager, that she's having surgery soon. What is your next step? A, inform HR that Jane is having surgery. B, tell HR to put her on leave. C, put her on FMLA leave. Or D, put her on personal leave of absence. So if you were thinking A is the correct answer, please inform HR that Jane is having surgery so that we're able to reach out to Jane to discuss her options with her. So what type of leave does Jane qualify for? A, FMLA, B, personal leave of absence, C, qualified exigency leave, or D, she does not qualify. If you were thinking B, you are correct. Jane does qualify for a personal leave of absence. Since she has not been an associate for at least 12 months, she does not qualify for FMLA leave. However, she does qualify for a personal leave of absence. Moving on to David. David is a full-time associate who has been with Benchmark for 7 years. His mom was recently diagnosed with cancer, and he will need to take her to her doctor's appointments. He would like to continue working, but will need time here and there to care for his mother. Should David go to HR to ask about leave options? A, no, because he wants to remain at work. B, no, because he does not qualify for leave. C, yes, because we will make him take leave to care for his mom. D, yes, because he may be eligible for FMLA intermittent leave. If you had thought D, you are correct. Yes, he may be eligible for FMLA intermittent leave. So just because he wants to stay at work does not mean that he is not eligible for a leave. He can take his leave intermittently. And since he has been a full-time associate with us for more than 1 year, he may be eligible for that FMLA leave. So is David eligible for short-term or long-term disability? A, yes, he should apply for STD. B, no, because he is not going on leave for his own disability. C, no, because he's on an intermittent leave. Or D, both B and C are correct. If you are thinking D, both B and C are correct, you are correct. He is not eligible for short-term disability since he is not going on leave for his own disability and because his leave is intermittent. So he would not want to apply for short-term disability. Okay, so David was approved for intermittent FMLA. He was 3 hours late to a scheduled shift due to his mom's doctor's appointment running a bit late. As a manager, what are your next steps? A, nothing, no action needs to be taken. B, nothing, HR is responsible for tracking his FMLA hours. C, inform HR of the FMLA hours used. D, write David up for being late to a scheduled shift. If you are thinking C, you would be correct. Inform HR of the FMLA hours used. Unfortunately, we do not know David's schedule and we do not know when he's expected to come into work, nor are we checking that he has arrived on time. So you will need to email HR just to let us know how many hours were used and when. We will respond to you letting you know how many hours he has left, just to make sure we are all on the same page. Regina is a full-time associate who has been with Benchmark for 3 years. She's going to her home country to visit for 10 days. She has 8 days worth of PTO. Should she apply for a leave? A, yes, because she will be gone for more than 5 days. B, yes, because this is an FMLA qualifying event. C, no, because she'll have enough PTO to cover the absence without reaching 5 unpaid days. Or D, no, she does not qualify for leave. If you thought C, you would be correct. No, because she will have enough PTO to cover the absence without reaching 5 unpaid days. So since she has enough PTO days to make it 8 days, that is just her using her vacation time. That will not require a leave of absence. Okay, and our last question is Chad. Chad is a full-time associate who has been with Benchmark for 6 years. He just told you, his manager, that him and his wife are having a baby soon. What are your next steps? So A, tell Human Resources. B, send Chad to Human Resources. Or C, nothing, Chad is not having a baby, so he won't need leave. And lastly, D, both A and B. So if you thought D, you are correct. Both A and B are true. You would want to tell Human Resources that Chad is having a baby and let Chad know to come on down to Human Resources as well. This is just to make sure that both we know and Chad knows that he has a couple of options available to him. Okay, so here is a nice little recap of everything we've discussed today. This will also be an attachment on the Mosaic Learning Center video. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.